Welcome to the Your Limitless Leadership Podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. Here, we believe leadership isn't just about titles. It's about how you show up in every aspect of life. Whether you're leading a business, building a legacy as an entrepreneur, guiding your family, or striving to lead yourself first, this podcast is for you. Join us as we dive into real conversations about growth, decision-making, and the courage it takes to lead with purpose. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped to become the limitless leader you are meant to be. This is your Limitless Leadership Podcast. Let's lead without limits. All right, welcome to Brent Widman, and you'll know the last name here. It's familiar, John Widman. I am from Your Limitless Coach, and we're going to talk to John today. And the reason I asked John, and then I'll let him kind of tell his background, what have you. But one of the big reasons I asked John to come on here is he is wired differently than a lot of the leaders, salespeople that you know. And what do I mean by that? The guy just works. And I don't mean he works from 5 a.m. till 12 at night. What I mean is when he punches in and he goes and does it, he does it. But one of his superpowers that I've seen over time, and I would love for him to talk about this, or love you to talk about this as well as we get further into this, is just the way that you build really strong relationships. So the evolution of I have to work all the time to developing these relationships and the mindset around what you do and how you do it. And that's what's really stuck with me, just the person that you are. And I know it's kind of funny coming from I'm his little brother, if you will.
Right.
And
ugly brother.
Yeah, the uglier brother I am. Just the way he carries himself and the way he cares about his family and the energy he brings to people and all those different things that sometimes we don't see in ourselves. And I see that with him, every interaction I have with him, the way he cares about people. And we'll get into that, and I'd love him to talk about that. But John has almost 20 years at Baldwin Supply. And I'm going to let him tell his story from where he's from, how he got to that point. But the dude is in the top 5% year over year in sales. He just does the deal, man. So I would love for you to just kind of bring us up to speed, how you got to where you are today.
So you jumped around a little there. You got me. Do you want me to start with more? I mean, the customer relationships, or start with a kind of a personal history thing? Start there. Okay.
Let's start personal history and just how you got to where you are.
So obviously we grew up in a little bitty town. I think my class was 28 people with 3 towns combined. And, back in, I don't know, I suppose it's somewhat of an era deal, but back in our era, you were expected to work, right? So we had paper routes from the time we were kids. And I think I got my first paper route at age 10, and you kind of get a thrill for earning money and enjoying the efforts and enjoying the prosperity from the efforts, right? So I guess I'd start clear back there.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a big deal. The town we grew up in, we both worked at a candy and cookie company where right off the bat you're on commission, right? So I don't remember what it was, like 4 cents a case or something like that, right? So it was as fast as you could run and as fast as you could throw cookies, the more money you could make. And so it was a fun place to grow up, because I think when I talk to other guys that grew up in the same time I did, I mean, they didn't have the opportunities we had, right? We had an opportunity. If you wanted to work hard, everybody, all the guys in our town had nice cars, and we had money to go out and do things. We had fun money, right? And we had that because we were presented an opportunity to work. So I don't know, then I guess going on to college, I kind of turned into a goof off, right? I was maybe drinking too much beer and chasing my future wife around a little more than I should have. And my work ethic probably wasn't there for a few years. it took me a while for that to recover. So I went in the Army, and after college, and I wasn't making a whole lot of money in the Army. I went in there on a loan repayment program, so all my college debt the Army paid off, and I owed them 4 years, and so I really had no direction at that time. Like I said, I was kind of goofing off. I didn't have much for goals, and my friends started to graduate and get good jobs. I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do, so I went in the Army and kind of grew up a little bit. And I got to say, I don't even know if I've ever told you this story, but when I got my first sales gig, we didn't have much money, and I took a night job while I was in the Army selling Silver King vacuums in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Right?
Didn't know that, huh?
I was about the worst sales guy they ever had. I think the guy I worked for was let's just say I don't think he worked directly for the company. He was an independent rep, and he wasn't the most ethical guy in the world, right? Because they had a little attachment you'd put on the vacuum, and it would show how much extra nasty stuff you were pulling out of their rug and their chairs, right? And he wanted you to just ram that dirt right up there, show them how bad the filth that they were living in, right? But I remember the one thing that kind of inspired me about the guy was that if you came back and you didn't sell anything tonight, he'd always say you can make excuses or you can make money, but you can't make both, right? And that deal really stuck with me. So I got my first little taste of sales there, and then toward the end of my time in the Army, I got deployed to Bosnia, and there was a lot of dead time. When we were over there, the conflict had kind of died down. There wasn't a lot going on, and we had opportunity. Back then, the computers were in limited supply for the guys. We couldn't just use computer whenever we wanted, but we could take classes where they'd give us videos. We could watch DVDs, and then you could go in and take your tests. So I took some sales classes and some business classes, and really enjoyed it. So kind of pivoted and decided I wanted to get into some kind of sales. So when I got out of the military, stumbled on a sales job with Fastenal. And right away, I loved kind of the industrial sales. I've always been kind of a tinkerer. I like to mess with tools and figure things out. And we didn't really grow up in a household that, our dad didn't fix a lot of things. And so I kind of had to learn everything on my own. But it was Fastenal, if you don't know, it's kind of like a mobile hardware store. They have absolutely everything, and they're run around in trucks helping people solve problems. So I loved it, but they're not set up for anybody to make any money, right? So I enjoyed it, but it would have been kind of eternal starvation. So
how long is it?
About 3 years, I think. Yeah. So in that time, we had our first daughter, our oldest daughter, and we made a big decision for Michelle to stay home, my wife to stay home, and we chuckled about this through time that she'd get little comments about, "Oh, you guys are so lucky that you're able to afford that," and I made $17,000 the first year that Michelle stayed home, right? Because we were so lucky that we were able to stay home, right? Man, we really learned to live on a budget, right? So our friends were out doing fun things, and we were strapped to the house.
Wow.
From there, our mom worked for an insurance agency in the same town, and I used to go. We didn't have any money, so she'd buy me lunch on Fridays once in a while. So I'd go pick her up, and the guy that worked there was working on me to come over and take over his agency, right? We had kind of a fun little banter back and forth. He was an all right guy, and anyways, I ended up leaving there to go try and run an insurance agency, and it didn't work very well with that guy. And by then, I'm committed because I spent all this time studying and getting all this licensing. So I tried a different insurance place, and I guess somewhere along the line there, we're going back to 2003, 2004, somewhere in there, right? And I realized that I loved the sales, but I didn't like selling kind of an intangible product, right? I like to sell something that you could put your hands on and figure things out. And I didn't like there was something about insurance where, how do I explain this? Like if you're out in public and somebody says, "What do you do?" and you say, "I'm in insurance and investments," that you can just immediately see the "get away from me" pop up, right? I mean, you had a little taste in it and you know where I'm going here. So I didn't enjoy it, and I missed the industrial sales, right? So because I wasn't good at it and didn't enjoy it, I mean, it just seems like you got to believe in what you're doing. You got to believe in the products you're selling, or you're not going to be very good at it, right? I didn't really believe in the product that we had. I thought there was better places to get what we had to offer. There was more knowledgeable people than me. I didn't believe in what I was doing, so I was terrible. And I wanted to get back into some kind of industrial sales, and we were starving, right? I was looking for I was actually looking for a night job. I was going to do the insurance during the day and do something else at night. And I stumbled on Baldwin, and they made me an offer, which wasn't great, but it was better. It was something steady, and it was better than what I was doing. And I jumped in. So I guess there's a quick history up to Baldwin, and I don't know where you want me to go from there. So, yeah.
We'll touch on Baldwin a bit, but I have some things that you don't even know that you touch on, that it's like ingrained in you so much. Like when you talked about, do you think, because you talked about the work ethic, then lack of work ethic, and now you're just talking about work ethic again, right? When you look at, I was going to take a night job, like that's not normal. And I don't know if you know that, like normal people don't typically go, I'm going to work 16 hours a day to figure this out.
Oh, sure. Okay.
You talked about commission. Do you think your work ethic came from where you grew up, the paper route, working on commission? Where do you think that became ingrained in you? If you could pinpoint it. I don't know if you can, but any idea?
I guess I'm not sure. I could go back and hit on a couple spots. I guess I breezed over some stuff. There was a short time there where I went to a junior college where I worked at a printing room, which was kind of right behind our house. And I remember that I would work there through the night, and then I had college classes in the morning. And the guy would we were cutting labels for candy bags, right? And I remember that I could cut as many labels in about 3 hours as the day shift could do in 8 hours. And so the guy knew I was in college, and he called me in and he said, "Look, if you continue to work this hard, you're going to go places in life." His name was Ron Canfield. I remember right?
Really?
And he said, "Look," he said, "I'm going to do something for you." He said, "If you'll promise me that you beat the ladies' daily average every day, I'll let you get to that average, and then you can sit in the break room and study." So I'd get my stuff done. I'd go into work at, I don't know what it was, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something like that. And by, 1 o'clock in the morning, I had done what the ladies would get done, and then I'd sit in the break room and study. So, yeah, eat cookies and study at 3 a.m.,
Isn't it crazy that we remember the people from that many years ago that touch our lives or that help us?
Yeah.
Little things like that he probably has no clue that he said or how it impacted you.
Sure.
But to this day, that's still like it just sits with you. The other thing this is kind of funny that you said. So we grew up in a town of 400 people. You graduated with 28. And instead of saying we lived in a small town, you said we were provided opportunities that other people weren't provided with.
Sure. Yeah, I feel that way. I don't know, Brent. I mean, that was an amazing place. So,
but it's how you look at it. It's the perspective of we were provided an opportunity to work in a warehouse to work as hard as we wanted to, pretty much when we wanted to, for the most part.
Sure.
Where other people would look at like, I have to, small time. You know what I mean? Do you see what I'm saying there? Like that's, again, your perception or perspective on things is drastically different than the normal everyday person. And I don't know if you see that, that's why I wanted to ask you to be on here. It's phenomenal.
You know, there's no way that I appreciated it at 16 or 17 or what, when you're a kid, you don't appreciate anything like you should. But the older you get, I mean, you can see the blessings in your life and really understand that, maybe I had something to do with it, but I sure didn't direct traffic. Right. So, yeah.
I would love to know this because you went from college, then you obviously went to the Army. What helped you make that decision? Because that's not an easy decision to do that.
So it's kind of a two-part answer, and some of it's funny and some of it's not. So at number one, I knew I needed to grow up. Right. I just didn't have any direction, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I had run up a little bit of college debt. It wasn't awful, comparatively, but I had changed majors a few times, and, my friends were starting to graduate, and I got nothing, right? I got no plan. I'm a mess. Well, then at the same time, I'm just head over heels over my wife now, and she was studying geography and some other things that go with that. She was doing some mapping classes. And so I kicked it around with her, what if I joined the Army? And she said to me, well, you figure out how to get to Colorado so I can get out there and get a job in my degree, and I'm all in, Well, so, she was, even then, I guess I didn't, at the time, again, I didn't appreciate it. I didn't realize how supportive she was being, but she was being amazingly supportive. And that's kind of been a big secret to my success all the way through, is what she's done to help. Right. And so, so that was the deal. We went to Colorado, and I took a horrible job in the Army because you didn't get any options, right? I want to go to Colorado. Here's what I have open. You can either take this one or you can't. That's it, right? So that's how I got there.
Huh. So, I didn't know that story either, because I thought you were stationed in Colorado because that's where you got sent.
No.
John, the things that you're saying, you wanted something so you went and got it. And sometimes you have to take a step back or take something to move forward. And that's what you did. It's so amazing to me, the things that you have done that I don't know, like looking back on it now, hopefully you see that, but just how that impacts other people. Because you said, I was a mess. I now have this work ethic, and we'll get to that in a minute. You have this work ethic that I feel like is unmatched by a lot of people. But you didn't always have that.
No, it was a hard time for me. I think when I was going through college and I got away, when we moved out, you move out of your little hometown and it takes a while to adapt. And I just couldn't find that place where I could, I didn't want to go flip burgers. I wanted to be paid for my efforts, right? And I figured that out fairly early on. And I just couldn't find it. Then I kind of lost my way. And Michelle teases me about eating her food because I didn't have any money. And, it weren't great days for me. So
I remember you telling me this story. I don't know if you remember this, but I stayed up there once, or you had told me that you went to Burger King on, I think it was Big Mac Day or whatever it was, or when they're 99 cents.
Yep.
And you would buy a whole bunch of them and you would put them in your freezer.
Right. Yeah. Health food, right?
Yeah. Well, because you didn't have any money. You just had to make do. Right. And that was that. I think you also had a job at one time that you were a cook in a Mexican restaurant as well, I believe.
I was a waiter at a Chinese place, but my best buddy in there was a Hispanic guy, Miguel. I loved that guy, and he was the cook. So yeah, I used to help him a little bit.
So the Spanish guy was the cook in the Chinese restaurant, basically.
Yeah, and he was amazing. Yeah,
Oh, I love it. That is fantastic. Isn't it crazy the things that shape us over time?
yeah,
Like to look where you are now. I know a lot of conversations we've had, and I'll kind of move into Baldwin, but I know a lot of the conversations we've had is just the way you go do things. What was it like when you started at Baldwin? Where did you kind of fit in there? And I guess what I mean by that, how was your production when you got there that first couple of years, and how has that transformed over
Oh, yeah, geez. So, just to tell you a little about these guys, and we'll get into it a little more later, but most of the sales team is on some type of commission program, obviously, but they give you a little time, right? They'll put you on some type of a salary program with expenses, and then they're testing the water while you're testing the water, right? They give you a chance to see what you can do. So I walked into again, I mean, I probably sound overly optimistic, but I walked into an amazing situation because we had our inside team that helped the sales team was 3 seasoned vets. All of them had at least 20 years experience at the time. And one guy had come over from the competition. The competitor had money problems, and he came over. And so he really had nothing to do. So I just attached myself to him, right? Here I had this guy that had been around forever, and he was super smart, and he knew everything about every product that we sell. And now he was at my disposal. He wanted something to do. So I drug him everywhere. And he taught me things, and I just fed him stuff, right? And then at the same time, we had an older sales guy who, whether he knows it or not, I mean, he kind of became a mentor to me. So I just had so much support out there. And then our sales manager, who I would call one of my best friends now, is still semi-working in his mid-70s. And that guy was incredibly supportive, and he just wanted to work with people that wanted to work. So I had this whole crowd around me. It's like I couldn't have walked into a better situation. You throw a little work ethic at it, and it went wild. So, yeah.
My question to that is, there are people out there that will walk into a company and they won't ask for help. You just touched on 3 people. You attached yourself to somebody, you had a mentor, and then you had the sales manager that were all helped you.
Sure.
Have you seen people come in there and, let's call it, fail or not make it because they haven't opened up and asked for help and latched onto people?
Yeah, for sure. And one thing, and I'm sure you've seen it I know you work with a lot of people in financial services and different things. I mean, most businesses where you got to be able to handle the freedom if you're not in the office every day, right? And that I've seen a lot of people come in and leave that can't handle the freedom, right? You got to be able to, whatever it is, spend a little time figuring out your goals, and then put your head down and go chase them, right? If you're getting distracted by every kid event or every, you can make it. You got to make it to them as many as you can, and that kind of thing. But you got a job, and I was expected to feed the family. Michelle was home with the kids, and like I said, we made that commitment, and I knew that it was all on me, so I needed to figure it out. So, yeah, but I've seen a ton of people struggle because of that.
When you say fight the freedom or embrace the freedom as well, what have you, how'd you do that? I know it's a really vague, generic, open-ended question, but what are some of the things you did to do that so you were successful, or are, if you will?
Well, in the beginning, I'll give you one good example here. So when we our last house, I guess I had an office in the basement, right? Well, invariably, Michelle was down there. Can you run uptown and get this? Can you go do this? Can you go do this? Well, I don't think she understood that every time, she's pulling my mind out of it, right? She was, like I said, she was great and supportive, but, pretty quick, I'm having to run here. I'm having to run there. So I took my office back into the office. I took it out of the house because I knew, like, we're going to starve if I keep running around, right? I gotta stay focused. So even now I have my office in a little building out behind the house so that I'm away from distractions and able to do things.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's yourself. It really is. It's creating the boundaries. And that's a lot of what you're talking about is you see things and you go after it. But if we let all this stuff in, inevitably it could be Michelle, your wife, or it could be laundry or dishes, or we can all come up with reasons why we're not as successful as we want to be. It's kind of what you're saying. But
back to the vacuum guy, right? Make excuses.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny that as dirty as you said the dude was, that stuck with you. You just can't have both. You know? Right. I think there's really power in what you said about when you came in, you latched onto people. And what you did is you became a student of the game. You just opened yourself up and said, and that's held true. Like that's one thing I didn't know about you is that you are a true student of the game. You consistently try to get better. Like you seek out ways to get better. The other thing, I got to say this too, that I didn't know about you, and I don't know where this comes from. The eternal optimist.
Oh.
You know? Rarely, when you said that, John, I tried to think about times that I've ever seen you in a bad mood or stressed out. And I'm almost 50, so I've known you my whole life, right? And I don't think I've ever seen you in a bad mood, ever.
I've had some time as I've gotten older to kind of contemplate on that too. And I mean, I know you got people that know you that'll be watching this. And when I grew up, Brent was the sports superstar and Brent was the jock, and I was a geeky kid, right?
Under 400 people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, keep it in perspective, sure. Yeah, you weren't hanging out with Shaq or anything, but I was a geeky kid, right? But I enjoyed making people laugh, and so it kind of became my thing. And the more you laugh, it just seems like you keep laughing, right? There's something about that physical smile on your face that other people smile, and pretty quick you're in a good mood. And then, I'd have to say, and I know you don't want to get into this a ton probably in this interview, but my faith has been a huge part of that, right? I mean, as I've kind of grown in my faith through Christ, I understand the blessings that I have, right? And how can I be upset about my life with the way I've been blessed, right? I'm in a good mood most days. And now, don't ask Michelle, because I'm sure I'm cranky about some things around the house, or what. Did you really need one more bag of stuff at Kohl's, right, or whatever? So I've got my moments where I'm not Mr. Pleasant. Trust me, but I'm generally pretty upbeat. So
I often wondered where that came from, and now I'm sitting here thinking, I wonder, because I feel the same way. Like I'm 90 whatever percent of the time in a really good mood, like because it's not worth getting frustrated with stuff or pretty laid back. And Jenny, my wife, asked me the other day, we're playing those cards, like we're asking each other questions, and what'd you get from your mom and what'd you get from your dad?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you would answer this question, so maybe I'll ask you that. What'd you get from mom? What'd you get from dad? But my answer from dad was just being laid back, not letting things get into your head and just kind of roll with it. I always perceived him as that guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's funny. I wouldn't quite see that the same. I like his where he likes to pick on people and kind of be funny, that kind of thing. I probably got that from him, and I almost see mom as more laid back and yeah. So
I have a whole different perception on mom. Like she is the driver, like I'm going to do it. I don't understand how mom went to work, got home at 5 or a little after 5, food on the table by 6.
Right.
And then whether it's laundry or taking care of us or whatever it was, like she was
Oh yeah, she was on it.
And I wonder if that's where kind of the work ethic that we
Sure.
saw, mom was constant. And that's what it made me think
That's
about.
interesting. I had never really thought about that, where you kind of gave me a different perspective on my own family. So,
Isn't that funny? Yeah. You really take a look at him. Dad was always the funny, laid back. Is what it is. We got this. We'll figure it out. Nothing really bothered him most of the time because he never yelled, never got upset. I didn't see.
Oh.
Well, he probably did. Obviously,
Yeah.
he has, but I mean that's normal. But
I might have had a smart mouth, so I got a little.
well, I wasn't any. At Baldwin, okay.
Yeah.
I would love to know because we've talked a little bit about this, but and not to diminish anybody else or anybody else that's there if they're listening to this or that kind of thing. But I know how hard you work and what you do and where you typically finish. Where do you typically finish at Baldwin, or where have you over the years? What do you feel like is one or two things that set you apart from other people?
Oh, okay. So, obviously I started at the bottom like everybody else. Wasn't given a whole lot. And we just had one other sales guy over there when I started. So they had let go of a guy that just drove around and handed out line cards all day, right? And it didn't go very well. And so I started at the bottom, and it's just been kind of a steady climb all the way through. The first 4 or 5 years, I was pretty pathetic. And then it really started to blossom. I got I suppose it was about year 6 or 7. I hit on a pretty nice account, and then just kind of got momentum, right? And so the last, I don't know, since probably 2018, somewhere in there, since 2017, since that time, I'm usually one of the top 5 out of 32, 33, 35 sales guys, depending where we're at the moment. I know like I said, a lot of it I feel blessed, but a lot of it is just staying after it. I mean, not being satisfied. I really enjoy cold calling and new customers. And sometimes I get a little tired of the same thing, the same guy that doesn't remember what he needs for this conveyor, but he calls me because he knows I will. So I would say, if you were going to have me touch on one thing that got me there, it would just be, maybe I feel like I care more than a lot of our competitors. I'll just give you an example. Early on, I've got a big quarry customer that's got 8 or 9 locations, and I had one of their locations that I could never get into, and they had a breakdown, and we didn't have the part, but we had it in the Twin Cities, which is
I remember this
4 hours from here. So I drove up there in the middle of the night and showed up in the morning with the part that he needed. Well, no one else would have done that, right? Well, now all of a sudden, I kind of laugh. I call them hero moments, right? Well, the guy doesn't forget that, right? He remembers that guy cares about my operation. That guy cares. And the business I'm in, it's all about repeat sales because it doesn't go away. It isn't a one-time deal. These people are consistently buying product, and they got to buy it from somebody, and they're going to buy it from somebody who they like that cares about them. So I just try to be that guy.
I love that you brought that up. I remember that. That was years ago. And I was like, what is he doing? Yeah. And it wasn't something that was like spectacular. If I remember right, it was like a hose or something like that. It wasn't like this. I don't know what it was, but it was something that wasn't.
It's kind of become my thing. So I've done it through the years multiple times,
You've done it to Bismarck, you've done it to, I think, Nebraska or Iowa or whatever. Like, you've done those things over time.
Yeah.
Why do you do that?
So I'm going to give credit to my old sales manager boss again. He has a saying he always uses, is that they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I know he didn't come up with that. I'm sure that's some old thing or whatever. But I mean, I just believed him, right? And it works. Whether it's if you're, I don't know, how do I explain this? If you're running, well, we talked about a quarry. So you're running Brent's quarry, and you can buy the same part from me or somebody that's $3 cheaper. But I care about your operation. I'll pick up the phone on Saturday if you broke down. If you need a solution figured out, why does this thing keep failing? At that point, the price doesn't matter, right? It matters to a certain extent, but people are generally going to buy product from people they know, like, and trust. And so I'm trying to be the guy they know, like, and trust.
I got to ask this because you talked about in the first 4 to 5 years you struggled. Did you ever think about quitting?
No.
No?
Loved it. I loved it.
Just didn't even. There's no plan B.
The only time I was somewhere in the late end of that 4 or 5 years. I was chasing these in Northwest Iowa. There's a lot of these guys that have large egg laying operations. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I had kind of got into a bunch of them, and I was getting really good at it. And one of the equipment manufacturers offered me a bit of a pay increase and a little title increase. I considered it and thought about it a lot. They were based out of Italy, so they threw out the fact that I'd probably get to take a trip to Italy. And here I am, a broke guy, but it was gonna come with a lot of travel. And at that point, we had 3 little kids, and I wanted to see my kids grow up, so I didn't take it. But that's the only time I ever considered quitting.
The shiny thing wasn't so shiny after you thought about it a little bit. Yeah.
Well, yeah, when they told me my territory was going to be everything west of the Mississippi,
No, wow.
No thanks.
That's why I asked the question, because you look at it and you alluded to it didn't go the way you wanted to in the first 4 or 5 years. Like, it was a struggle and hard, but you just kept going, kept going, and kept going. And I think that's, if anybody takes anything away from this, it's that mindset of, you've touched on a lot of things, that you embrace the work ethic because you knew eventually that would get you to where you want to be. It's like a blind faith almost.
Right.
Things will pay off. So what keeps you going now, 20 years in, 20 plus years in, right? Still doing it. Is it just the habit? Is it because you want to keep doing better? Is it just who you are?
Yeah, so it's getting harder, honestly, to motivate myself. But I really love spending time with the customers and solving problems. And it's at the point where, I do still care if I'm, where I'm at in the scheme of things with the other guys. Am I number 1, number 2, number 5, or whatever? But the older you get, you realize, like, none of that matters. It's when 20 years after I'm dead and gone, none of that matters. It doesn't matter today, honestly. The relationships that I have with people, and the things I'm able to do for the younger guys, helping them get started. I got a younger guy that I just been loving to help him get going, and I still like kind of building new relationships and helping some of the younger guys. And I don't know. I mean, it is still fun to. It's fun to land a new account, and you're planting seed and then harvesting, right? It's fun. You're a farmer, so
it's like you're going out and making friends, and money just kind of comes with it, basically, when you get to
right. Because I mean, I don't know. I mean, I spent some time going through some sales coaching myself, and I feel like somewhat I struggle with all the tactics and that. I just kind of have this humble attitude where I want to go help people, and they generally buy stuff from me at that point. So it's just become easy, right?
We call that unconscious competence is what we call that, where you are just so good at what you do, you don't realize how good you are at what you do. It's just normal. That's what it means. It's hard to teach that to a younger guy, because that's just who you are. It's been ingrained so much over time that's
gotcha.
Yeah, it's cool to hear that. I don't know, man. The reason I honestly, again, the reason I asked you to be on here is not because you're my brother, because if you were selling insurance and making 20 grand a year, there probably wasn't a lot you were going to teach people being on something like this.
Right.
But you've created something in you and who you are, and even your kids and the people around you, me looking at you and mom and dad, and I know the people around you that see you and watch you do the things you do, you touch their lives too. And I don't think you see that by just being the person that you are, the eternal optimist, the way you live into people, the way you care about people, the way you work isn't everything, and you've realized that it's all these other things that go with it. And even the conversations with Michelle, your wife, about how she's helped you out, that maybe she doesn't understand that at times. And it's pretty cool to hear that. Like, I knew there was a story there somewhere, but I didn't know it was as good as it was, I guess, put it that way. So, yeah.
Boy, I've seen it. You hear the little remarks about, behind every, great man, there's a great woman or something. And I don't feel like I'm a great man, but obviously I'm married to somebody pretty great. And there's no way I could have done. I mean, she just handled everything, Kid falls down at school and I'm, halfway across the next state and she handled it. Or, we need whatever school supplies tonight and it's all handled. I mean, I don't know. I was present with kids, but I didn't get caught in all the minutia. She just handled it.
You are the example of, we talk a lot about, I know I've talked to people that are married before about not keeping score. Because if you really see what your spouse does every day, the score is pretty even. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
You guys, back, I don't know when it was, but the guy gave me a deal. I can't remember if it was my coach or if that came from a pastor buddy, but I was going through a little bit of a rough patch with Michelle, and they encouraged me to every day write down one positive thing about her for a month,
Yeah.
Well, you get to the end of the month and your whole perspective has changed, and so I've tried to do that on other stuff that ticks me off. If there's something that's driving me crazy at work, maybe take a couple weeks and write down one positive thing, because it really changed my perspective. So
you're looking for the good instead of looking for the bad.
Right.
Makes a difference. Yeah. Changes. And you find it because it's there. It's just sometimes the blinders are on and we can't see it. It's crazy, isn't it?
Right.
Well, yeah.
Spot on.
Listen to this and takes anything away. Just do that. Write down one thing that is positive in your world, or whatever part of that piece in your world. That's just got a master's class in how to find eternal optimism right there, for sure. Love it. Love it. Thank you for being on here. I truly appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
A little awkward for me, but thank you. I appreciate it.
You did it. You got through it. Good job. I love it. Again, John Widman, Baldwin, just one of the greatest guys you'll meet. And I truly hope you take a lot of the wisdom from him when you listen to this, because it's why I asked him to be on here is we think that people that are really, really good at what they do are different than would you think you're different than anybody else out there?
Yeah, I don't feel that way, but I mean, I understand there's some results behind what I'm doing. So something's going on, right?
You do. You just do. You've created that. But you've gone from the way you grew up to not doing things to actually going, I should probably get my together here a little bit. And it's pretty cool to see that. So yeah, I love it. Thank you. Thanks for joining us on the Your Limitless Leadership Podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. We hope today's conversation inspired you to think differently about leadership, not just in your career, but in every part of your life. Remember, leadership starts with leading yourself first. It's about taking action, making bold decisions, and showing up with purpose. Now, it's time to take what you've heard today and put it into practice. Whether it's in your business, your community, your family, or your own personal growth, start leading without limits. You have the power to become the leader you're meant to be. Until next time, keep pushing your boundaries and leading with purpose.